Okay, so I built a new rat rack, and it's got smaller tubs in it than the other one, and it's just for the pregnant females so they can be by themselves with their babies, because we were having a problem. They were getting stressed out being in the same bin with other rats having their babies, and a couple of things. They were getting stressed out and eating the babies, or sometimes another litter would be born at a different time, and the bigger ones would all be in the same pile with the little ones, and the little ones were getting smothered or not getting enough milk from their moms, and so we were losing a lot of babies that way. So I built this rack so that each litter can be born separately and hopefully eliminate that problem. And it's actually a pretty big rack. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, and each level has 7 bins. And so we got 35 bins over here. We can have 35 females with their babies over here. And this video is going to be all about how I built this rack, and I'll take you through step by step. So here we go. Okay, so what I did was I cut all of these, all the long pieces. I pre-cut them all, and then all these short pieces went through and pre-cut them. These are 7 feet long, 7 foot 1 inch and 3/8 long. These are approximately 15 inches long. Okay, and then we're going to put these together and build the frames, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so what I've done now is I pre-drilled all the holes where the screws are going to go in these, and I'm just going to start the screws, one in each hole. Okay, so the next thing to do, as you can see I already started, is put these cross pieces in. And I got this handy dandy little right angle clamp, which I just put it in there and tighten the screw down. I'll do it on this side now so you can watch. This thing works great. It gets it lined up at a perfect 90-degree angle, holds it in place for you.
Bless you.
So you got your hands free to hold the wood and drive the screw in.
What happened here?
Okay, so now that I've got the 2 end pieces in, the rest is easy. I don't even need to use this right angle clamp anymore, because now I know this thing is perfectly square, except for the fact that this 1 2x2 is twisted. But once I get the cross pieces in, I'm thinking that should straighten itself out. So now what I'll do, I've already got them marked off at 1 foot intervals. This happens to be the interval I'm using on this one because of the size tubs I'm using. So now I'll just take these cross pieces, stick them in place, line it up with the marks that I made, and I just use one of these quick grip clamps to hold it. While I put the screw in. Now I'll just go ahead and do this all the way down the line, then I'll flip it over and screw the other side in, and then the frame will be done. Okay, so now I'm pre-cutting the mesh, and then I'll just staple it on. Just use some tin snips. There's easier ways to do this if you have a like a pneumatic cutoff tool, which I have, but it's just really loud, and this works. I just don't feel like making all that noise and firing up the compressor and all that, so I'll just do it this way. What you want to do though, after you cut it with the snips, you want to take some small cutters, like maybe some people call them dikes, some people call them side cutters. These things here, and you'll want to put some safety glasses on because these things are going to go flying. But just cut these little ends off because these things are sharp and they will poke right into your skin and you'll bleed a lot. Trust me, I know from experience. Okay, so the next step is to fasten this 1/2-inch mesh, and we're going to fasten it right to the frame.
Okay, now we can go somewhere else.
I just like to use staples, and you just
We can go somewhere.
put one in each corner just to hold it down. Try to make it as straight on there as possible. And then once you have all 4 corners down, then you can go along the edges. And just every 4 or 5 inches or so, just put a staple in it. Or wherever it's sticking up like this, throw one in it. Okay, so now I've got the mesh on. Now the next step is going to be put the runners on. And since I'm going to have multiple tubs, these tubs are going to be on here kind of like this. So I'm going to have 7 tubs per level. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to suspend the runners. I'm going to put a little spacer down here, and then I'll put the board on top that the tubs are actually going to slide on. So I've pre-cut these. What I'll do is I'll put one of those in here. I'll place them all right where they need to be. I don't have to do it on the ends because there's going to be the support, the 2x4s that hold this whole thing up are going to be there, and I'll just attach it right to there. I won't need one of these. And I'll hold these in place with these little finishing nails.
Where's your mom? And my dad.
Make sure it's nice and centered, and just tack it in place with these.
Mom, Dad, I found somebody that whole family died.
I'll just do the same thing, tack all these down with the little finishing nails. Okay, so now that I've got all these spacers on there, now I'll take the actual pieces of wood that I'm going to use for runners, and I'm going to put them on even on both sides, and I'm going to line them right up with this 2x2. and then I'm going to pre-drill them. And you don't need to have, I mean, a lot of screws in here. I'm just going to do 2. And then I'll go down the line and I'll pre-drill all of them. That way, the less I have to change out this bit, the better. Okay, now that I've got all these pre-drilled, I'll just go through and screw them down. Now I got all these runners installed. Now we'll test fit and see how these tubs slide on here. We can do that by sitting these things right on the sawhorses. Grab the tubs. Looking good so far. Like I said, the end ones, once I get the legs on, I'm going to attach the runners right to the legs, so that way I don't have to do spacers in there. And I'll show how I do that next. Okay, so this is going to be one of the legs. I've got 4 just like this. You can see I pre-drilled where the screws are going to go, and I marked off where each level is going to sit. So what I'm going to do now is start attaching it. And what I did was you can see I just put this, because the concrete isn't exactly straight here, so I just put 2x4s under each side of this level of the rack, just to make it somewhat flat. And then I put this here, like this, and it should almost stand up on its own. And now since the holes were already started, I'm just going to put a screw here, and then I'll line it up right, exactly where I want it. Put that screw all the way in. It doesn't matter if it's perfectly straight at a 90-degree angle like this, because as I put the different levels on there, it's going to conform. And now I'll just continue. I'll do all 4 legs like this, and then I'll put the rest of the levels on. Okay, so now I'm starting to install these levels, and what I'm doing, if you can see on the camera, I'm taking one of these clamps here, and I'm just clamping it onto the 2x4 right under the mark. And then I'll take this and I'll set it on top. And I go and do one on the other side the same way. Right under the mark. You just got to hold it, so put it somewhere so where it's close. Doesn't have to be exact at this point. It's just to hold it while you put the screws in on the other side. And you can see I've got these screws already started in the holes. This is very important because while you're sitting here wrestling with this thing trying to get it in place, you don't want to have to mess around with dropping screws and everything else. So then I'll just hold this right on the line. Put a screw in that side. And one in this side. Okay, so now we're going to do the sliders on the side here. In the middle we've got these T's, but on the side you don't need to do that because you can attach the rail right to this. So what you do is you take the tub, put it in there, And you'll take the rail and just set it so it sits right on that tub. You don't want to push it down because then the tub will be tight. You want to just place it very gently. And then you'll take this clamp and clamp this in place. Do the same thing on the other side. Make sure it still slides nice. And you just put a screw. You don't need a whole lot, just one screw will be enough.
Where to put it? A big spot.
Okay. You can take your clamps off. Check it again, make sure it still slides nice. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so I thought I'd put these blocks on the back of the frames here as a stop, so that you can't push the tub too far and have it open on the other side and have the rats escape. And all it is just a piece of 2x2. I'm just sticking it there, and I'm just going to throw one screw in it. It works for keeping that drawer from going too far. Okay, so here's the finished product. I don't have all the tubs in it yet, but there it is. You got mama rats in there. Can't really see, they're kind of obscured by the food, but there's a big mama rat in there getting ready to have her babies. And there's some in here that have babies already and they're nursing them. There you go. And we don't have a watering system yet, but that's coming soon. So right now we're just using the water bottles. And that's it. Thanks for watching.